Welcome to the Gulfstream Park West Handicapping Show. Ron Nicoletti here, along with Acacia Courtney, and it should be a fun day. It is finally opening day here at the Gulfstream Park West. We had a slight delay, but boy, the weather is fantastic in South Florida. The main track is fast, and the turf course today is firm.
And we're lucky to have avoided the path of Hurricane Matthew. Hopefully you and your family are all safe, and as Ron said, a little bit of a delayed opening here for the Gulfstream Park West meet, but it's bright and sunny on this beautiful Saturday. We're excited to get started.
Yeah, as I mentioned, we're going to start the day with a fast main track, a firm turf course, and let's show you the wagering menu that we're going to offer you here at beautiful Gulfstream Park West. And the menu starts every day with the rolling super high fives. If we have 7 or more runners in the field, we'll have that rolling super high five. And boy, when that pot builds, it really goes very, very well.
It does. And race number 1 also starts the early pick 5. That's races 1 through 5 today, and I'll have a ticket for you there.
Yeah, and don't forget we have the Rainbow Six this afternoon, which starts in early race 5 with a 10-race card. So race 5, it will start today, and we're starting anew because we had the mandatory payouts across down at Gulfstream Park. And we're going to close the day out with a final pick 5 of the afternoon.
The final pick 5, races 6 through 10. I'll have a ticket for that as well to round out the day.
Yeah, so it should be a lot of fun. So with no further ado, we will go and look at today's card this afternoon, and we're going to start it off in the first race. And this one is a 6-furlong claimer. 3-year-olds and up with $12,500. We do have a jockey change to report in here on number 3, Starship Apollo. Please note that that rider will be MCL Jaramillo. Cornelio Velasquez will be off his mounts this afternoon. So we'll give you those changes as we go through today. And I know that you have the first of 2 pick 5 tickets starting right here in race number 1.
I do. We'll let you see my ticket. $36 for me today because I was able to find a single, and that comes in race number 4 with the number 1 horse, Awesome Trom, who's, I don't think the morning line favorite, but it just really looks like this horse is going to be in the right spot. The pace scenario is going to set up right. So I decided if I could find a single to keep my ticket affordable, this was going to be the one to be it. I thought in race number 2, Little United will be a big favorite. I went a little bit protectively in there for 2 horses, 4 deep in the final, but it's all hinging on race number 4 with Awesome Trom.
Well, we agree. I have that one on top, too, which is not the normal case here this afternoon. So let's take a look at this first race. The course that's up there now at 1-9 right now is the 5 Darrow D, who's turning back to the distance where he broke his maiden. Adding blinkers this afternoon after finishing second. He was 50 cents to the dollar that afternoon. That was against Similar, who's going 6.5 furlongs. The trainer is Ralph Nixon. Boy, has any been on hotter than Ralph Nix over the last few days. When we left Gulfstream Park, he was winning everything. And, of course, our leading rider from over at Gulfstream Park, Tyler Gaffleon, will be in the saddle. So lots to like about the number 5 Darrow D, except, I guess, that 1-9.
Yeah, it's certainly going to be a low price on this horse, but he looks like he's going to be the one to beat in here. I thought this was a race where the pace scenario was a little bit suspect. It looks to me like the 1 horse spotter, Carl, is going to be the one to show some speed from the rail. Darrow D, I imagine, will probably be pretty forwardly placed as well. Had a solid second last time out when dropping to this 12-5 non-winners of 2, and it looks like this is just the spot where he wants to be. He drew the rail that day. He's a little bit further outside today. Hopefully can bounce back after disappointing as such a big favorite last time.
Well, a couple of other horses. We're sort of in agreement here with our top 4, but just mixed around a little bit. I went with the 8 Buster Rocks in second. This one is another who's going to cut back to the distance we've been talking about, 3/4 of a mile. Going to wear blinkers. So one taking the blinkers off, one putting them on today. Rallying Lady finished 3rd behind aforementioned Darrow D in the recent clash at 6.5 furlongs. Kathleen O'Connell ready for the rematch. A 5-furlong drill right over this track here at 102.1. So it looks like this horse, belongs on the ticket. I'm in agreement, I think, for the 5 Darrow D is the one to beat. But Buster Rocks, I saw, was on your ticket, too. And the other horse you used was the number 6 horse in here, and that's Eclipsado.
Well, this one's taking a big drop in class and also moving back over to the dirt. And I just think you put a line through that last race. It was a mile and a 16th on the turf against $30,000 claimers. Well beaten that day, not surprising. Understandably didn't like that surface or class level either. Prior to that, ran against optional claimers, $12,000 tags. I just think that's a bit tougher tougher there. This is a little bit easier spot. Might just be where he wants to be. He's also far back in that race, so I think he gets a better trip here today. Gets Edgar Zayas in the saddle. I think that all of those things come together in a good way for him.
And number 3, Starship Apollo, fourth behind both Darrow D and Buster Rocks, going that 6.5 on September 4th, finishing in a dead heat for third, going 6 furlongs last time out. Should be able to grab a share on the ticket. I think we both used him somewhere on there, and I think that the first race certainly goes through the number 5 Darrow D in race number 1. With that said, we'll flip the page today and go to race number 2, and this one is a 6 1/2 furlongs maiden claiming 2-year-olds, $25,000. 2 scratches in here, and that is the number 1 Regal Eretz and the number 6 Spring for More, and we'll update you on all the scratches. Or Chris Griffin, our new track announcer here at Gulfstream Park West, will be updating on all the scratches a little later on. And you mentioned this when you were talking about your ticket, that number 5 Little United might be the one to beat in here.
Absolutely. I think he's going to take all the money. He's going to be the big favorite. She was second last time out. A very solid second at that, beaten about 2 lengths, been working nicely over at Palmettos. But the main reason I didn't single this horse is I didn't know if I could trust her. Based off that last performance, yes, it was a solid second, but I think that the number 8, Athera, has a lot to offer in here as well, so I felt I had to go too deep in this race.
Yeah, I sort of agree with you there. I mean, I wouldn't single this horse when I was putting my ticket. And you mentioned it, number 8, Athera, is dropping back to this $25,000 level, turning back today to a sprint distance after sitting off the pace, and closed pretty nicely. Was third that afternoon against maiden special weight competition, going a one-turn mile across town, and here's a good time. I always mention here when you race a mile or a mile 70 yards, it's around 2 turns here at Gulfstream Park West. Across town at Gulfstream, it's a one-turn mile, so lots of difference because it's a true route race over here. So turning back from that one-turn mile, Antonio Sano, Edgar Zayas to ride, and MSC El Jamerio is going to stick with the top choice in here.
Well, I think that she wants to be sprinting too. The dam was a multiple stakes winner at sprint distances. It looks like her sprint race 2 back against $25,000 maidens was a very strong third. She was third last time out in special weight company going that mile, but it was a very well beaten third, about 12 3/4 lengths behind. I think that just a little less distance here and that drop in class is where she needs to be.
Well, it looks like we're in total agreement here with the top 4 selections. Number 9, Wildcat Wave, Daughter of Insummation, debuting for trainer Francisco D'Angelo. Solid work tab showing over this track. The freshman gets Lasix, Carlos Olivero, the inside post this afternoon. The post this afternoon, outside post this afternoon. So I just thought this horse off the workout pattern, and I like horses that have been training here, and I'm going to see how they run. This is a good time to, on opening day, to mark down horses that have been training here, how well they run over the track.
Yeah, early on you can figure out how those pieces set up, and if you look at the work tab, a couple back on September 3rd, right here at Gulfstream Park West, 4 furlongs and 48 flat. That's a very sharp work over this track, so that seems that this horse is going to have a lot to offer for her debut.
Well, let's go to race number 3 this afternoon, and this is 6 furlongs. Claimers 3 and up, non-winners of 3 races in life, or 3-year-olds, $6,250. We do have a couple of jockey changes to report in here. On the number 1, make the rider Roberto Alvarado Jr., and on the number 4, the rider is Danush Suki. And Little Awesome, this one moved to the Alejandro Memo barn after that claim.
Yeah, and I thought that this is one that you have to use on here. We'll show you a stat on trainer Alejandro Memo. In the past 5 years, first after the claim in 31 to 60 days on the dirt. So that's coming off a little bit of a layoff. 5 for 27, not the biggest sample size in here, about 19% win, 41% of the time in the money, pretty strong to finish in the money, $1.25 ROI. That was a little bit questionable for me here as well. Actually, 84-cent ROI, excuse me, I was looking at the wrong one on there. And I thought, yes, this horse has been in very good form prior to that. I thought this one you have to use, but I opted for the number 2 Carapano on top in here.
Yeah, and I went with the Little Awesome, and then when I handicapped the race, then when I went back and looked at that stat, it was sort of like, I remember Alejandro Memo from last year here in South Florida. He did a very good job, but when you see those stats, it's just a cautionary tale is what we'll say in here. So tell us about the number 2 horse in here that I had fourth, and that's Carapano.
Well, Carapano is dropping in class, and I thought that Little Awesome has the speed. Yes, it was well beaten and tired last time out, beaten about 7 lengths. And then first off the claim and seeing that low ROI in there, I thought Caropano is eligible to improve. Yes, well beaten last time. That was against $25,000 claimers. Dropping to this $6,250 level, if you keep going back, had some very nice wins against $16,000 claimers, against tougher than what he's going to be facing today. I think he has the tactical ability to sit just behind the speed as well.
Number 1, our Cat Daddy will depart from the rail after tracking Little Awesome last time out and finishing third behind him. That was on that wet, fast surface across down at Gulfstream Park. Ralph Zadie, Roberto Alvarado Jr. in the saddle. I thought he was a logical contender in the spot.
I thought so too. He's going to get back on a fast track as well. Got wet, fast, and good in his last 2, but he has that nice stalking ability there.
Well, let's go to race number 4 this afternoon. It's 5 furlongs on the turf. Of course, the turf course listed as a firm. It's a claimer, 3 and up, non-winners of 2 races in life. They're going to run for a $10,000 tag. A couple of scratches and a jockey change. A scratch the 8 and the number 9. The jockey change comes on the 11. Make the rider Lionel Reyes. Now, Awesome Trom. This is the one you singled, so I'm going to turn it over to you.
Well, tried running on a sloppy track taken off the turf last time. Finished pretty well, beaten only 3/4 of a length. 2 back had a 5 furlongs on the turf, and that was his first start against winners as well. I actually want to go back and show the race 3 back.
Right.
This is where he broke his maiden, and I think that this is the one that's really going to be what you're hinging off today. In his first start against winners, he was very far back. He had a lot of ground to make up. When he broke his maiden, this was back on July 23rd, 5 furlongs on the turf. Had tried a dirt race prior to that, and I think that turf race, when he wasn't so far back, he didn't have too much work to do, sat behind the easy fractions, 22 and 1, 45 flat, and then he drew away and was able to win by about 2.5 lengths. I think that's what it's going to be here. There's quite a bit of speed to run at as well. It doesn't need to be so far back on the turf.
Yeah, that's the way I saw the race, too. I just thought that performance back on July 23rd, he got to sit behind those 22 and 45 fractions every year, but I like the way he drew off in that race to win. And going back that and the level of competition this afternoon, certainly looks like the number 1 Awesome Trom is the logical one. And I don't know if it was morning line favorite. It was not.
4-1.
Second choice, 4-1. I went to the 10 in here in second, a horse that you had on your ticket, too, and that's El Senor del Cielos, who's another making the first start today on the Gulfstream Park West turf after sitting behind the pace. Prior to finishing second at this level and distance across town, the trainer is Antonio Sano. Miguel Vasquez, I thought he was a logical contender in there. I was sort of hanging my hat like you were on number 1 Awesome Trom, but I think El Senor del Cielos has a shot.
Well, he's got that major closing ability. Finished second at a big price last time out. Yes, he was beaten about 4 lengths behind Time Out of Mind, who nobody was going to be able to catch him that day. But El Senor de los Cielos, really, it translates to the man in the sky. He kind of runs from the sky because he's way far back, and you don't think he's going to be able to get there. I liked him last time at a bit of a price, and I think he's got a shot to hit the board and close again today if the pace falls apart.
So that was our first Spanish lesson of the day?
Yes.
Yes, El Senor del Cielos, which I did not know, man, from the sky. This one comes from the clouds, never mind the sky. I used the 4 in here, Joey Sixpack, and I'll tell you why. He showed speed when breaking his maiden on the sloppy track across town. Can turn out to be a major piece of the pace puzzle this afternoon, and when he debuts on the turf. I don't see a lot of fancy speed in here.
Well, I think that there's some ingenuine speed, if you will. The number 6, Radamel, is certainly one that's going to be sent early, and that's what he's shown in his past few races. He finished third behind Time Out of Mind and El Senor de los Cielos last time, and I thought he might be able to hit the board again.
Well, the horse you had in second, First Dixie in here, is actually the morning line favorite.
He's coming off 2 second-place finishes, beaten a length at 2 back and just by a neck last time out, both at this 10,000 non-winners of 2 level. He's been trying to notch that non-winners of 2 level for quite a few starts. His last 2, certainly the most solid, and Beyer speed figure-wise, he's got a 61 and a 64, which is pretty high for this field.
Yeah, and I sort of backed off him for the reason you mentioned. It's been hard trying to get that second career victory. So, I mean, I put him on a ticket, but not as my main focus in the race. With that said, we'll take a short break here in race number 4, and when we come back, we will show you my Rainbow Six ticket, the first Rainbow Six ticket of the Gulfstream Park West meeting.
Next January, 12 horses, $1 million buy-in for a $12 million purse. It is the world's richest race. It is the Pegasus World Cup.
What do I love about horse racing? Everything. The speed, the excitement, the opportunity to win big. Every race is different. It's like piecing a puzzle together. This horse is sitting on a big one. That horse loves the track. The jockey has a hot hand. If I can figure out the clues, I can pick the winner, and I can win big. That's what I love about racing, and that's why I play with Express Bet.
Welcome back to Gulfstream Park West, our fifth race of the afternoon, 5 1/2 furlongs, claimers 3-year-olds and up, $6,250. Two scratches in here. Number 5, It's Not Me, and number 10, High Rapid Lady. And number 5, It's Not Me, was not only my pick in this race, was my best bet of the afternoon because it was a perfect 3 for 3 at Gulfstream Park West, but that's for another day. So let's show you my Rainbow 6 ticket here, the first Rainbow 6 ticket of the Gulfstream Park West meeting, and I'll show it. It'll pop up, and it just I went 3 deep, and it's a first leg 2, 2, 3, 4, and 2, $57.60. I absolutely could not find a single this afternoon. I used all these old angles from all my years here at Gulfstream Park West, trying to figure out who's going to run well on this track this afternoon on opening day. So there's my ticket. Use it as a gauge to your ticket in there, and so we'll see how that works out. And I went 3 deep in here with the 4, 7, 9. How'd you see this fifth race?
Well, I started off with the number 4 as well, and that's Shere Khan, who's looking for 2 in a row. Has never run over here yet at Gulfstream Park West, but I thought that this horse has just been in such good form lately. And as far as Rashawn Creaky going, winning back, he's about 20% with horses that won their last start to get a repeat winner in here. Just sat perfectly, pressed the pace last time out. I think it's going to set up for him as well in here. I admit I liked the number 5, It's Not Me, as well, but looking at the way that this race was going to set up and kind of a process of elimination, I liked this one for the repeat.
And one other note, as I mentioned, this race 5 1/2 furlongs. This horse a multiple winner at that distance.
Yep.
So it's not quite 6, it's not quite 5. So 5 1/2 runs well at the distance is what I'm trying to say. The horse I scratched into and put right on top was the 7 Flashing Cat, dropping back to the $6,250 level, cutting back to the distance I was just talking about, 5 1/2 furlongs, hoping to carve out a stalking trip behind the speed, which includes, I believe, horses like Take Time to Pray and horses like that in the race. I thought there was more speed in it before the scratch of It's Not Me, but I thought this horse is going to be a little pace dependent, sit off the pace. If they go fast up front, he can end up sitting the trip.
Well, that was my biggest question for him, I think, because Shere Khan can be a little bit more forwardly placed than Flashing Cat will be. He finished pretty solidly against $10,000 optional claimers last time out and had a couple in-the-money finishes prior to that. Probably should have won 2 back, but lacked room behind Shere Khan, who was just much the best that day. And I think I like that Emistel Jaramillo is going to be aboard again today. I think that he's one they have to use on the top there. I also used the number 3, Super Simi, another one who's dropping in class.
Yeah, and then Take Time to Pray, as I mentioned, looks like he can be part of the pace scenario in race number 5. So we'll see how this races today on both turf and dirt play out this afternoon. Try and figure out what kind of biases we might see throughout the afternoon. With that said, we'll flip the page. We'll go to race number 6. 6 furlongs, claimers 3 and up, non-winners of 2 in life, $6,250. Clean slate in here, 10 runners in the field, no scratches, no jockey changes, and I believe you have a late pick 5 ticket.
I do. My late pick 5 starts right here, and I agree with you. I couldn't single in for the later half of the card either. I thought race number 8, maybe Curlin's Gem, might be one to take a lot of money. Again, it didn't feel like I could narrow in on just one horse, so $54 for me. I went 3 deep in this opening leg, race number 6, with the 2, 3, and the 5.
Yeah, I mean, I feel the same way. As mentioned, that's why my ticket was $57.60 today. There's just no real, that horse is going to be my single this afternoon. With that said, you started it off with a horse I did not use on my ticket. It's the number 5 Iced Coffee, and I want to hear why.
Well, this horse is actually 9 to 5 on the morning line. I looked at this race for a while, and this one's dropping in class. Finished pretty solidly against Tougher a couple starts back, and I just thought that this one might be certainly eligible to improve off of that class drop. Has never run this low before. Last race was against 12-5 non-winners of 2. Was the favorite that day, actually ended up finishing 6th, but had a very good second prior to that against that 12-5 non-winners of 2, beaten only by a length. And I just think that this is a horse that has the ability, could show some speed, can be kind of forwardly placed as well. Doesn't doesn't necessarily need the lead either, though.
I wasn't enamored, I guess, with his last race. I'm looking back now to see why I did not use it. Probably a mistake, but I just thought I would go a different way, and I went with the horse that you have in second on top, and that is the 3-7 of Jack, who's stepping up to face winners after stalking early and drawing clear to defeat $10,000 maidens at the distance, and I think he sees the same pace scenario that afforded him the victory last time out, and that's why I went with a maiden stepping up to to the next level. Usually not a tried and true thing to do, but I just thought this horse off that performance was the one to beat in here.
Well, that was my biggest question for him. Same with No Hit, No Run. Both of them broke their maiden last time out. For 7 of Jack, it was in his 8th race. It took him a while to get to the winner's circle, and he certainly steadily improved on his way to the winner's circle. He broke his maiden last time at the 6 furlong distance across town at Gulfstream Park, so I certainly thought he'd be able to keep that kind of form moving forward.
Well, we got the 5 that I might have to go back, iced coffee, and maybe not only drink one, go back and maybe add this one to my ticket this afternoon. I closed it out with the 6, Zukov, beating the nose at this level, 2 starts back, drops, broke slowly, never got involved. Maybe he wakes up again today.
Well, he's only 1 for 26, but he has had 8 races in the money, besides that win at the maiden 12-5 on the turf, actually. But he looks like sprinting, and this level's where he wants to be.
Yeah, and we got trifecta, superfecta, and of course rolling super high five. So some of these horses, if you don't think they can win, can certainly be on the ticket and maybe help those tickets pay very nicely. Race number 7 this afternoon, 6 furlongs, maiden claimants, fillies and mares, 3 and up, $10,000. Couple of scratches. One of my least favorite name horses, but I'll mention it anyway. Number 5, her unmentionables, and number 9, Grand Amour. I've had trouble, callers. I don't know, just bothers me. So I'm just going to put that out there right now. But scratch the number 5. That's how I'll do it. So and you went with the number 3 horse in your web in second, and that's a little quiet.
Oh, this one was beaten just by a length and a quarter last time out at the 6 furlong distance. Had been running a couple races at 5.5, finishing second, finished 4th, yes, last time, and it was as the favorite, but again, was just beaten by slim margins. Edgar Zayas stays aboard. I just think for every horse, there's kind of like a now or never time. I think it's now or never for Little Quiet. This is the spot maybe that she needs to be. She's been running in the money, and normally that's a big question mark for me when a horse isn't able to get past that hurdle, but I think off that last performance, she should be able to move forward.
Yeah, and Elvis Presley's song, It's Now or Never. I remember that. That's what came into my mind with It's Now or Never for number 3, Little Quiet. That's my daily Elvis Presley.
Is that what that was?
Yeah.
Oh.
Number 12, Sky Cotton here. This one is debuting locally after opening a 4-length lead before retreating to finish 3rd at this level and distance. Jose Garofalo reunites the Dart of High Cotton with Lionel Reyes. Maybe you didn't have to have a 4-length lead last time out. Maybe you could have had a 2-length lead and you were last on. So I put that one on top. A little quiet for all the reasons you mentioned. The horse you put in second, I put in third, and that's Mañana.
Well, Mañana, maybe just a bit of a slow learner. Keeps saying Mañana, Mañana. 0 for 14, and it looks like she's been in some places where she should be able to win, and she hasn't been able to do it yet. She was a well-beaten 4th last time, but she has finished in the money solidly a couple times, and we'll see if she can do that again.
And ridden today by apprentice Lane Leslie, getting in with 115 pounds. And Lane Leslie riding a very good form here as we closed out the Gulfstream Park meeting. And once again, I want to remind everybody, great place to watch the races here at Gulfstream Park West over at Gulfstream Park. They have all the amenities you need there to have a fun day at the races. Let's go to race number 8 this afternoon. 7 furlongs, claim is 3 and up. $6,250. We do have a scratching here of the number 1, Rancho. And this horse here, I went with a horse on top, and I got to explain to you why. This one here, double judge, a 10-time local winner, which is 2 more victories than the whole rest of the field combined. So I'm going with the horse for course angle, is making his local return to first start since leading every step of the way to defeat $8,000 condition claim, is going 7 furlongs across town. Now, stepping up, I'm hanging my hat on the horse for course angle in here. Juan Arias, a journeyman, Gary Bain going for 2 in a row, and I figure if it's a 10-time local winner, I'm going to put this one on top.
Well, not only 10-time local winner, but he's had 44 starts over this track. He's a 9-year-old full horse, and you talk about horse for course. He certainly knows his way around this track, so I can understand that. He's got quite some early speed as well. We mentioned Curlin's Gem before, probably one that's going to be looking to rebound off of some traffic trouble last time, but I tried to beat him as well with the number 3 Running Cat, a $115,000 son of Tail of the Cat. Finished 3rd on a wet track last time, going 7 7 furlongs, but pretty solid at this distance. 5 races, 2 wins, and 2/3, so 4 out of 5 in the money at this distance. And I think that the last races, though the last 3 haven't been wins, they've been pretty solid performances with back-to-back victories prior to that.
And one of my favorite things is a horse that runs well at 7 furlongs. They always seem to run well at the distance. You mentioned Curlin's Gym. I'm going to go back and show you a performance. This one's going to turn back to 7/8 of a mile today, hoping to carve out a stalking trip. But this one had a little trouble last time out. Was the number 1. It just really had no place to run here. And now you're going to watch there. It seems to be an opening on the inside. And I think it's, well, Curlin's Gym looks like he's going to get the job done. And then really, there is nowhere to go. Just gets squeezed back and just really never has any room to run. Now, whether the horse was going to win the race or not, but then once he got clear sailing, it started to close. And it just thought of the performance. Marty Wolfson, Tyler Gaffleone in the saddle. Lots to like about this horse, especially if he gets a clean trip.
You know, I've been on the Curlin's Gem bandwagon the last couple of races, so now that I've jumped off and tried to beat him, he's probably going to win for fun today. That's normally how it goes, right? But that being said, I felt that he's a solid one that you have to use on the ticket for all those reasons that you mentioned. He didn't have any room to run last time out. Again, we're both trying to beat him in here, but certainly a must-use.
Yeah, must-use, and mine, the double judge, as I mentioned, going with that old horse for course angle, must be saying, oh, I remember this place, and I like it a lot.
Bringing back the memories.
Race number 9 this afternoon, 5 furlongs on the turf. It's an allowance optional claimer for 3 and up, or the optional claiming price of $25,000. I'm going to scratch the 2, 12, 13, and the number 14 in here. And I started it off with the number 3 Final Encore, who's sitting on a winning performance. After shipping back from Belmont Park to get beaten, Neck is the favorite at this level and distance. I'm going to go back and show you this horse's last performance. This was a pretty good performance, I thought, after coming back, was the number 6 this afternoon. And you'll see it this afternoon, and you'll see this horse here. And, you know, making a pretty nice move. And I think, well, you know, this horse is running okay. It's going to get the job done. And the leader just would not give it up, so just kept running and running and running. Now comes over and I'm saying, oh my God, he's going to be 5th. But he's tenacious enough to hold on and finish 2nd in that race. You see him there between horses. Hard to see, was a 4-horse blanket finish with the winner. Just a little too good that afternoon. But I just thought, coming back from New York, running that race, you're getting Ralph Nix, you're getting Tyler Gaffleone, was the one to beat in there. Now you went to the outside with a horse in here that I did not use, and that's the number 10, and that's a party all night.
Well, there's a lot to like about Final Encore. I agree with you. I thought that Party All Night Long is he's looking for 2 in a row. He's been running over at Monmouth against $20,000 optional claimers. I think it's kind of a lateral move over to here, and I just think that he's going to be one that's versatile enough. He's also been working at Gulfstream Park. Very solid works, getting ready to make his South Florida race here. He has raced on the Gulfstream Park West turf course before. He had a huge layoff about a year before coming back to start his 2016 campaign. He's been very solid, though, in 2016 as he's starting to continue to improve. Again, he got that win last time out, sitting just behind the pace, waiting, and very willingly. I think he's going to be able to do that again. I like to see Edgar Zayas aboard as well.
Yeah, trained by Eddie Broom, so we'll see that first start and for the winter for Eddie Broom down here in South Florida. So a horse that once again might have slipped by me. We'll go back and double check. But I went with the number 3 Final Encore. I just thought off that performance there. I was tempted to maybe even single that horse in there. Now, the other horse I used that you had in your ticket, but further on down, was the one Arborville, who's dropping into, I believe, a competitive spot after stepping up the competition, failing to get in track. But that was the $75,000 Bonita Springs, who was back on June 4th. He's a gelded son of Forest Grove. And I think if you can get a little bit of a price on this horse, you use him on the drop this afternoon.
He's coming out of stakes competition, so certainly on the drop, as you mentioned, pretty solid on the work tab for his return. About 3-month freshening coming back here. He won against $25,000 claimers a few starts back, going 5 furlongs. It looks like he's going to be in good company today.
Well, we're not too much of agreement at all in this race here, except with the 3. And the other horse I use is the 5 Golden Rifle, dropping to this level, turning back to 5/8, first start since facing Tupper. That was during the championship meet. Marty Wolfson, Lane Luzzy atop this. It's a former stakes-winning son of Go Sapper. This one's got a lot of back class, and I think this horse, if he can come back and run off the layoff, can be very, very dangerous. And 11 here.
And I use the number 9 At the Ready because if you like Final Encore, I think you have to use At the Ready because they actually dead heated back in that race that you showed. They were neck and neck in there. And yes, he was beaten last time, but that was against $62,000 optional claimer. So I think one you have to take a second look at.
Well, let's look at our final race on Saturday afternoon. 5 1/2 furlongs, maiden claiming fillies 2-year-olds, $12,500. We're going to scratch the 4, 12, 13, and 15. Please note the number 14, Millbrook, gets in and will run this afternoon. And the jockey change, a couple of them in here on the 9. It's Embassy Al Jaramillo. And on the 12, who's the other horse? On the 11, it's Roberto Alvarado Jr.
Yes.
But once again, Chris will be over here in a few minutes to update you on all those scratches. How'd you see the nightcap?
Well, I went with the number 5, Scrap the Mandate, on top in here. This one's dropping in class now and moving over to the dirt once again. And you look at these races and you say, well, he really hasn't shown much so far in her 3 races so far. She was second in her debut against $50,000 maidens. Yes, she was beaten about 9.5 lengths there, but she was second. She is moving back over to the dirt here. Maybe that's just going to spark her a little bit something in there. And as I said, that class drop as well to the lowest that she's run for the 12-5 maiden tag. Maybe all of those things come together to perk her up. Plus, she gets Tyler Gaffalione in the saddle once again. I just thought everything coming together in this field.
I went with the 2 Lady Cellos, turning back to this 5 1/2 furlong distance after dueling throughout and finishing second against this caliber. That was going 3/4 of a mile. I just thought off that performance, I'd put this one on top. A horse I had some interest in here was the number 11, Monogamy. This one is plummeting to this 12-5 level on the main track. First start and showing speed and fading to get beat a mile. But that was in a trio of trio. Oh, next out winners in the $35,000 maiden test on the turf. Dane Kabisky, Eddie Castro, drop down surface switch. Easy for me to say. He comes out of a key race is what I was trying to get, but I kept hanging up, wanted to say 3 and trio at the same time. So Monogamy coming out of a key
That'll
race.
get you. Yeah. Well, I agree. I think that there's a lot of things to like for this one. I kind of wanted to watch another one from her and see if she could improve a bit more. I went with a first-time starter from the Efren Loza barn, Dark Image, with the 6 in second. Pretty steady on the work tab, nothing that really jumps out at you, but we keep talking about how well Efren Loza does with his first-time starters, particularly with the 2-year-olds. Prentice Lane Leslie in the saddle again today.
Yeah, and I mentioned that number 14, Milborough. This one is coming off the also eligible list and drops to the 12-5 level. Figure probably, I think, against this level of competition was facing like $25,000 type. So a wide-open final race, as you can see by the board. We were in agreement 1 and 2, and we went different ways today, which I like. So we can have a little bit of a contest between each other.
Yeah, we'll see who fares better on the opening day of Gulfstream Park West. Don't forget, simulcast and all amenities available over across town at Gulfstream Park.
Yeah, we'll see you here throughout the afternoon.